Welcome back to Analyzing with Abdul, where you're joined with your favorite host, Abdul. Today's co-hosts are Omar Ibrahim and Omar Khattab. Today's topic is how the working class is exploited by the ruling class in Gabriel Marquez's novella Chronicle of a Death Foretold. Marquez, being the renowned Colombian author he is, published a short novella titled Chronicle of a Death Foretold. The short story is told through the eyes of a narrator who appears to be an investigative journalist looking into the build-up, death, and aftermath of Santiago Nassar's murder. In Marquez's novella, exploitation of the lower class is highlighted through the oppressive characters of the bishop, Nassar family, and Bayardo.
Marquez illustrates the exploitation of the working class by the ruling class through the character and actions of Bayardo. Primarily, Bayardo was the son of a wealthy general and came from wealth and power. He was looking for a wife and decided he wanted to marry Angela Vicario, but it was Angela Vicario who didn't want to marry him. Angela claimed that Bayardo's son Roman hadn't even tried to court her, but bought all the tickets in the raffle in hopes of impressing her. Angela's family was filled with great excitement and gathered together in the parlor to announce they imposed on the obligation to marry Biardo. The word choice of imposed on obligation imply Angela's helplessness, as she cannot stand up for herself and must do what her family desires. Due to this, Angela can be characterized as weak and defenseless, while her family as gullible and stubborn, as she voiced she did not want to marry him and they still forced her to marry him. Furthermore, Beardo is characterized as snobby and arrogant, as he does not attempt to court her, but rather by her family's permission with his wealth. As a result, exploitation of the working class is displayed in the novella, as Bayardo forces Angela to marry him by displaying his wealth to her family and charming them. Through the use of his wealth, he was able to force a working class citizen into service for him. According to Karl Marx, the working class are individuals who sell their labor power for wages and who do not own the means of production. This can be applied to this scenario as the working class family sell their daughter to the ruling class, a man who she did not desire to marry, but he was able to force her family's band to into marrying her. Later on in the story, when Boyardo attempted to display his vast wealth, he went to buy Angela's dream home. He approached the widowed man and asked, "What's the price of the house?" The widow replied, "It hasn't got a price yet." Beardo insisted on purchasing the home, and he stated, "Name any price you want." To which widower refused and claimed, "Young people don't understand the motives of the heart." Even the Beardo continued to pester the man until he broke down and his eyes were full of tears, as he accepted Beardo's offer of 10,000 pesos. Firstly, the personification of the heart highlights the weight and importance of the heart in such matters, as Bardo was offering way more than it's worth, yet the man's heart urged him not to. Because of this, Bardo is characterized as selfish, as he believes everything can be bought with money, including the items with sentimental value. This highlights exploitation of the lower class by the ruling class, as the ruling class get whatever they desire by using their money. Even after they are notified they cannot purchase the item, they use their power and wealth to obtain it anyways, often at the expense of others. In short, the arrogant and selfish actions of Bardo demonstrate the exploitation of the working class by the ruling class in Marquez's novel. Thank you.
Secondly, the bishop depicts the exploitation of the lower class as he represents the upper class ideologies and hegemony which perpetuates inequality and class division. The day Santiago was murdered, he had got up 5:30 in the morning to wait for the boat the bishop was coming on, and present him with the many contributions of several loads of wood to the public solicitudes of Father Carmen Amador, in addition to preparing his favorite delicacies. Later on, as the bishop approached the village, he started to make the sign of the cross in the air and continued to do it mechanically afterwards, without malice or inspiration, until the boat was out of the villagers' sight. To begin, the villagers preparing the bishop's favorite foods and presenting him with gifts emphasizes the importance of the bishop to the townsfolk, as the people stop the natural course of their day and wake up early in the morning to hope to see him. On the contrary, the word choice of mechanically and without inspiration or malice highlights the bishop's lowly view of the people, as he waves at them with no emotion in his actions. Moreover, the bishop is characterized as manipulative and selfish. As a result, the novella depicts the exploitation of the working class by the ruling class through the ISA of the church. The church pushed the ideology onto the people that they must welcome a man of the church with respect and gifts. This oppresses the villagers and results in the church getting wealthier at the expense of the exploited people. The bishop has little to no care for them and only sees them as a small source of income and free pleasure. Furthermore, the bishop was seen wearing a white cassock and surrounded by a retinue of guards in preparation to his church prom. Retinue of guards signifies the importance of the bishop as he is surrounded by guards at all times. Furthermore, the white cassock connotes wealth as white is often associated with it. As a result, the bishop is characterized as arrogant and snobbish as he places a wall of guards between him and the people, physically. Class division is evident in the novella as the bishop separates himself from the working class. He exploits by never getting off the boat and having a constant group of guards surrounding him at all moments. This highlights the low respect the ruling class have for the working class, and that they only maintain this faked relation with them to further exploit them and remain in power. And in conclusion, class division and exploitation of the working class is highlighted in the novella through the power of the church and bishop.
Finally, the Nassar family represent the upper class ideologies through the exploitation of the lower class. At the beginning of the novella, Santiago and his family were still being introduced when Santiago was said to have grabbed one of the maids, Divina, by the wrist when she came to take the empty mug. Then he told her, "The time has come for you to be tamed." Later on that day, Divina was walking around the home when Santiago came out of a corner and she couldn't avoid the butcher's hawk hand again. She told the narrator, "Santiago, he grabbed my whole pussy." Lexical choice of grabbed implies force. Moreover, the lexical choice of tamed implies that she's a wild animal and he's her master taming her. Added to this, couldn't avoid the butcher hawk hand is a metaphor that emphasizes her inability to escape from his grasp in sight, as the butcher hawk is known for hunting. Also, grabbed my whole pussy emphasizes sexual assault as he grabs her forcefully and unwantedly. As a result, Santiago can be seen characterized as powerful as he grabs her and gets away with crimes. Moreover, Divina can be seen characterized as powerless as she succumbs to her master's desires, as she works for him and cannot avoid him and his desires. Therefore, the exploitation of the lower class can be seen as Santiago, her employer, is able to control her and make her do what he wants as a result of his wealth and power. And also, women can be seen only valued for their virginity and body in the novella, and the upper class men can be seen exploiting that. Added to this, Victoria Guzman, while being introduced, refused to be seduced or touched by Santiago or anyone else. As the author revealed, she'd been seduced by Ibrahim Nassar in his fullness of her adolescence. Unsurprisingly, Victoria revealed to the narrator that she made love to him in secret for several years after Ibrahim Nassar had satisfied all his needs. After the years of the affair went on, he brought her to the house to work as a servant when the affection was over. The lexical choice of the word seduce connotes a manipulative and deceptive relationship between Ibrahim Nassar and the house servant, as after the affair ended, he brought her to work for him. Moreover, this characterizes Ibrahim as a powerful and rich man, as he was able to have an affair and when it ended, make her work for him in his home. Furthermore, this highlights the exploitative nature of the ruling class, as they are able to control whoever and whatever they want to due to their power and fortune. Karl Marx states that workers in a capitalist society are exploited insofar that they are forced to sell their labor power to capitalists for less than the full value. This can be stretched to fit the situation in the novella in a society where the a woman is only valued for her virginity and ability to produce children. The ruling class exploit the working class women for their own pleasure and do not reward them for it. Rather, they use their power and wealth to oppress and abuse them. Thus, through the representation of the upper class ideologies, the Nassar family can be shown exploiting the upper class.
In conclusion, the oppressive and exploitive characters of the Bishop, Nassar family, and Bayardo highlight how the working class is exploited and abused by the ruling class in Marquez's novella, Chronicle of a Death Foretold. Thanks for listening to today's episode, and we'll see you later on Analyzing with Abdul.